Imagine that. Imagine that being the leader of all the people and not just being an elect few. Imagine being the leader of people who disagree with you and and actually dislike you. Imagine having to represent them. That's what an actual leader is. A leader's a uniter, not a divider. Welcome back, my friend, to the podcast that may never end. My name's Jim Ellermeyer. I'm a behavioral health therapist, and for those of you that don't know, perhaps you just blundered into this universe. This is a podcast called Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we ask people to explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness. We're looking for people who can create their lives rather than find their lives. And the only entrance requirement is the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. And today I'm joined by my good friend, co-host, and producer of this program, Mr. Mike.
Yes, 490 episodes. We've been having a mindful conversation, right, Jim?
Yes, we most certainly have. It takes some focus and resilience to last 490 podcasts, I would think. But however, that's a topic for another day. We've been addressing on this show, we've been using our AI skills or lack of them to talk about how some figures from the past that certainly resonate in the present would address the world leaders today, Mike.
What figures would those be, Jim?
Well, today we're going to talk about Jesus of Nazareth. Okay. And there's very few legitimate scholars who deny the existence of this person called Yeshua back in Palestine, Israel, back over 2,000 years ago. There was a historian by the name of Flavius Josephus who wrote a 10-volume set called Antiquities of the Jews, in which he definitely mentions Jesus in there. Okay, and we do know that there was a Pontius Pilate. That's very, very, very well known. So when we're talking about the leadership of Jesus through religious thought, but also he had concepts of leadership, justice, and moral responsibility. So Jesus' timeless principles could challenge, inspire, and guide those who hold power and influence in our modern world today. Just as a matter of fact, we talked about being woke on a podcast in the back. Pope Leo just said, if being anti-woke is being silent to the suffering of the masses, then call me woke. So when Jesus called for humility and service, one of the central teachings of his message was a call to humility and servant leadership in a world where political and economic power can lead to pride and self-promotion. So there's a tradition in Alcoholics Anonymous in the 12-step world where we say that our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. I wonder how that tradition would play out in today's
It sounds like I think it would definitely be labeled, a crackpot leftist kind of a concept.
Yes, absolutely. They would maybe even call you a snowflake. So Jesus' message was a radical reminder against the autocracy of the time and day, which hasn't changed too much. So we're asking leaders that could be prompted to re-examine their motives and the impact of their decisions, prioritizing the well-being of the people over personal legacy or gain. What a novel thought. Imagine that. Imagine that being the leader of all the people and not just being an elect few. Imagine being the leader of people who disagree with you and actually dislike you. Imagine having to represent them. That's what an actual leader is. A leader's a uniter, not a divider. So it's just boggles my mind sometimes. And now he might point to everyday examples such as healthcare workers which are tending to the sick, the teachers nurturing children, and the community organizing, advocating for justice. Imagine that. So what we're trying to do today, all of these radical shifts in funding that we're experiencing in the world, and particularly the United States right now, I guess this is going to date this podcast a bit. Well, we're in the midst of a well over a month-long shutdown of the United States government. And so what we're doing now is they're denying the funding for SNAP benefits, and which people rely on for food. 22 million Americans rely on those. What's going to happen, Mike?
At this state, they're going to get some of that, but it's still not going to be enough to get people through the holidays at this point, and no sign of slowing down for anything. So it's definitely been, again, it's one of those things where you're always looking for the helpers, and you are seeing a lot of groups kind of come together and do food drives to try to help out the situation as much as they can.
So I would think that Jesus in his message would encourage world leaders to model humility, and through transparent policies and courageous acts of self-sacrifice, especially during times of crisis. Imagine self-sacrifice. Imagine not going to play golf or having a grand gala at your palace by the sea. So Jesus was also known for his unwavering commitment to justice, mercy, and compassion. Are those qualities that we see in any of our leaders today? And I'm not talking about just one party. I'm talking about them all.
It seems there's always excuses. I struggle to try to find people that are being the helpers, trying to actually solve the problems of the common person in the country. And all I hear are excuses on why that kind of thing is not happening.
Yes. We keep hearing that that's unrealistic. Okay. So where are global issues such as poverty, systemic racism, refugee crises, and the exploitation of the vulnerable? Where are they being discussed at?
Online, honestly, online, but not. They're being discussed in government, but kind of it just seems to be falling on deaf ears of any action.
Most people that I know, and perhaps you know, Mike, are dealing with white people first world problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not dealing with people who have brain cancer.
Yeah.
Or people who can't find enough food to feed their child that night.
Mm-hmm.
Or a safe place to sleep.
It's the stuff that happens in the dark.
Jesus was also talking about promoting reconciliation and peace. His teachings on reconciliation, forgiveness, and peacemaking are especially relevant where he talks about in the Beatitudes, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." So, the people who promote themselves for the Nobel Peace Prize, I don't know how a person could be promoting themselves for a Nobel Peace Prize when they were supplying the arms that are necessary to carry out the slaughter and genocide in Gaza. And we can get pushback on this, Mike, but I'm to the point in my life where I know the difference between right and wrong.
Precisely.
So Jesus might urge world leaders to pursue conflict resolution through dialogue rather than through force or intimidation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Intimidation seems to be the standard tour de force today.
Yeah, and I think that's under force or tariffs, apparently, right?
Force or tariffs, yes, or calling people names. Really only the weak need and demand admiration. So here's something that is woefully lacking, and Jesus emphasized truthfulness and integrity are often sacrificed in pursuit of power or short-term victories. Jesus condemned hypocrisy and dishonesty. What did he do when he went into the temple?
He flipped the tables.
He flipped the tables because what they were doing was the priests had to have sacrifices during Pentecost. So in order to they could only buy the sacrificial animals from the priests in the temple. And so they had money changers there who would change the various denominations of people who were coming to the temple, and they were being cheated. And Jesus thought that was unacceptable. He basically called them a den of vipers, was what he called them. Misinformation spreads so rapidly, and trust in institutions is so fragile. Jesus' insistence on honesty would be certainly a clarion call. Imagine somebody actually telling the truth. Do you remember back in this current president's first term when they didn't call them lies? They call them alternate facts. Alternate facts, could you imagine that? So about the only prescription that I can write as a licensed professional counselor is a prescription for hope, Mike. And that's what Jesus' message was all about, was hope. His message was about forgiveness, and the powers that be that wanted people to come to churches, temples, follow the rules, give money. Their message was based on atonement, that we're sinners and we have to suffer in order to obtain rightfulness. And that's not what Jesus said. Okay? So one of the things that Jesus resonated with me was when he said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So when we talk about gilding the White House and making opulent ballrooms, I guess that's where their heart is. It's where their treasure is. Okay? So, Jesus warned against excessive pride, self-obsession, and focusing on temporary earthly things. Because as we said, Mike, there's no prize for being the richest person in the cemetery. Now, I want everybody to take that into account. And we're going to recount just a little bit of the Good Samaritan story at the end of our little talk today. Oh, hi, Jim Ellermeyer back again from Fishing Without Bait. And as we offer and express transparency, this is a shameless plug for a book that we are selling. This is a 365-day calendar where we have a Zen type of picture to draw with a caption, and then we ask some thoughtful questions that people can answer, such as, what are your general thoughts about the quote? What is the morning thought in the morning? What is your evening thought? And what will you do tomorrow to spread kindness? Okay? And the beauty of this is that it's not numbered. You can pick any page out. It's not numbered. You can pick any day out and pick any quote out you want, or not. So what we're doing, we're asking people to use this as some type of a mindfulness activity to start their day. When we start our day, not trying to race through the day or with anxiety, but rather maybe some introspective self-talk, some internal validation. And what we're doing here is this. Also, what we'd like to do, we're going to be offering some Patreon material, maybe some behind the themes things, or some of the podcasts that we've done where we take a deeper dive. And we'd like to get your thoughts on that. What would you like to see? Are there any podcasts that we've done where you would like us to do a deeper dive? So you can please contact the show, and we'd be glad to explore that. And as always, we're looking for stories of recovery. Everybody's in recovery from something. We like to know how you got here from there. And please be good to yourself. And yes, this is a shameless plug. There was a Jewish individual who came back, and he was laid upon by robbers and beaten and stripped naked. And he was laying on the side of the road. And a priest came back, a Levite came back, who were Jewish authorities, and they just walked right past him. So then a Samaritan came past. Now, maybe people don't understand what the Samaritan is or looked into the history of it. When Assyria conquered northern Israel, which was Judah, in 772 BC, what the Assyrians would do, that they would take the elite out of the country and transfer them away, and they would bring in other people, Assyrians, into there. Now, the Assyrians there intermarried with the Orthodox Jews there, which was anathema to the Jewish people. Okay, and although they followed the Pentateuch, which is the 5 books of the Old Testament, which is the basis of the Jewish faith, they thought that they had a purer, cleaner version of them than the other people. So they were vilified. They were cast outs. So they were shunned. So here comes this Samaritan, and he sees this man, and his heart was moved with pity. So he cleaned him up, put him over his donkey, took him to a place like would be a hotel, and paid money for him to be taken care of. Now, and Jesus asked, who was his neighbor? Who was this beaten man's neighbor? Was it his own countrymen? Was it his own religious figures? Or was it a shunned person? Who was his neighbor? So I'm going to ask everyone out there, who's your neighbor? And as Mr. Rogers said, if you can't find a helper, be a helper. And at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription, fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and unplug your television. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Till all are free, none are free. We are our brothers and sisters' keepers. Until then, my friends, namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast.
If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.